my fellow small business supporters? I'm Savvy, and you're listening to Creative in Chicago, a podcast where I talk to guests about their process of turning their creative passions into a profession. Let's get right into today's episode. Hello, everyone. Today I am here with Jessica James, and she is a licensed makeup artist. So it's very cool to get to talk to her because this is a creative field that I don't have a ton of experience in. So it's really cool to talk to someone and get this perspective. Now, what's going to be interesting about this conversation is Jessica is involved in our anti-MLM movement. I know you guys have seen a lot of my videos on YouTube where I have talked about, the way that the MLM movement is kind of undermining the work of legitimate small business owners. And I think one of the places where that happens the most is in the makeup industry and like the skincare industry and a lot of industries where there's so many companies selling that. So I guess just to get started, Jessica, can you just kind of like introduce yourself and tell me about the kind of work that you do and what your background is?
Yes. Okay. So I went to school. I moved to Louisiana and went to school to become a licensed esthetician, which falls under, skincare and makeup. And so I've been doing this for, I finished school 15 years ago in August. So, I did facials and, everything like that. But then I got involved in the film industry about 7 years ago. So I've been the lead of the makeup department in over 30-ish, probably more, film productions. And
That's so cool.
thank you. I worked really, really hard. And, and I pay every year to keep my license up in the state I live in now, as well as an out-of-state fee from where I went to school, because I keep my license up in both states. I also, pay for, continuing education and everything like that. So it has really, really impacted my industry, from makeup to skincare advice, that they don't need to be getting skincare advice from random people.
Yeah. So in terms of, I guess, the makeup industry and the skincare industry, what's the licensing process kind of like for someone who wants to get involved in that industry to get licensed?
Okay, so every state is different. There's only a couple of states that don't require a license. I think maybe 2 states don't require it. So every state varies, and it goes by hours, just like a cosmetology program does. So I went to school. It equaled out, I forgot how, I think it was like 750 hours or something along that lines. It was so long ago. And so it equaled out to about 6 months of being in school in Louisiana. And so, and then I took my state boards, of course, and we learned a lot about sanitation, just everything that has to do with everything we're going to need to know for the future. So
that's great. And then I think it's really cool that you've worked in movie productions with makeup. So how did you get involved in that type of that field in working with movies and actors?
It was so random. So I was just my first feature. I got a phone call, and they asked if I was available to be the lead of a makeup department in a Burt Reynolds film. And I was like, okay. I still to this day do not know how they got my phone number, but that's okay. And I also, after I went to school, and I got my aesthetics license, I went to college for a little while, and I was in college with a boy who started his own production company. So I did a few music videos here and there, but they were unpaid, of course. So to this day, I don't know how they got my number, but so I did that, and that was a big feature. It's a higher budget film, and I did the makeup for all of the lead actors in that film. And of course I made connections, and it just kind of evolved from there. I found a passion in that and a love in that.
That's so cool. So you've done like music videos and those kind of things then?
Yes.
Okay. That's really cool. So I guess that's so interesting to me because music videos are often like they're so artsy looking, right? Like they have such a weird look to them, which I love. Like I love looking at music videos. But I guess What is that like from your perspective? Like, what kind of approach do you take to makeup artistry when you're doing a music video or some kind of video that's not like grounded in reality so much?
It really just depends. It depends on the sides, which that's what we get. So it tells you what scenes coming up next and, what they're going to need to look like.
Hmm.
I try not to use anything with SPF in it because it shows a glare on the camera, just little
Okay.
tips and tricks like that. And
Cool.
then of course there's special effects, which I got into that. And the reason I got into that and I turned out loving it, it's actually really easy to me. But when I was on set, they needed somebody's face bloodied and I never did anything like that. So they had to call somebody else in. That was kind of embarrassing. So I was like, okay, I really need to learn this special effects stuff. So I just, because we didn't learn that in school. So
Right.
I just jumped right in and now I'm making prosthetics and,
That's so
using
cool.
blood and all of that. And it's so much fun. And I just really enjoy doing that.
So, fun story, when I was in college, I made a lot of student films and I actually learned how to make blood there. So,
Oh.
I loved making blood was fun because I don't know if the blood you make is edible, but I always liked to eat the blood that we made.
you
Um,
know, whenever I ran out of blood, I did have to use kitchen,
yeah.
items. So I've been there. So yes, I've made it.
Yeah, I would make it out of chocolate syrup, corn syrup, red
Hmm.
food dye, and something else, I think. And I
Yeah,
made
like cocoa
it tasted
powder
so
and
good. It tasted like it could go on ice cream.
yeah.
But I know, just so everyone listening knows, not all prosthetic blood is edible. In fact, most
No,
not. So do not eat prosthetic blood.
definitely do not eat it.
Oh man, that's so cool though. So I guess so. Other than music videos, have you worked on what other types of productions?
Oh, I would have to go look at my list. But I what have I worked on? I will have to go look. I worked on a ton of indie films. I'm working on an
Hmm.
Amazon Prime series right now.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm working on a series and I'm also working on a feature film that's going to be on Amazon Prime and possibly Netflix. Yeah, I have to go back and look at my IMDb honestly to see
That's so
everything I've
exciting.
done.
I love it. So, okay, so everyone listening, I will link Jessica's IMDb page in the
Thank
description
you.
below, so you guys can all take a look at some of the awesome work that she's done.
Well, thank you. And
Yeah.
and it's under Jessica Underwood James because there's no other Jessica Underwood James. So I hyphenated my name.
Oh, that was smart. I like
Yeah.
that.
So
Yeah, my name's already pretty rare, so I got lucky with that.
it is rare. I love it
Yeah.
though. Mine
Awesome.
is not.
So I guess what's that life kind of like then? I'm assuming it's kind of like the like is it like a freelance basis? Is that kind of how it
Well,
works?
well, that's the thing is, I worked in salons on and off for 10 to 12 years, probably 12 years. And, you know, many people don't know this, but I've actually gotten sucked into 3 MLMs, like an
You
idiot.
have? I didn't know that. Wow.
Yes, I have. And it's not because I didn't make it, you know how they say.
Yeah.
But it's because what made me so mad is I look over at these people that are also selling this. I'm like, how are you giving skincare advice? I just busted my ass, and paid all of this money to go to school. In fact, I had to
Yeah.
move to go to. I moved, so that's rent. That's like food. That's like everything, and I moved
Yeah.
by myself at 18 years old, and I just didn't think it was right. And you can really damage someone like that. You can really damage someone's faces. Plus, the products. I was so young, and I guess I don't know what I was doing honestly, but it made me really mad because the products are so overpriced, of course,
Hmm.
to pay, the uplines and all of
So just
that.
to give everyone listening a little background, if you haven't seen my anti-MLM videos, um, what we're talking about is there are companies called multi-level marketing companies, or MLMs for short. They're basically companies that are like glorified pyramid schemes. If you're watching this on YouTube, I will link my anti-MLM playlist up in the cards so you guys can look at all the research and the facts on that. But basically, they're companies that tend to really manipulate the people that work for them. There's an upline and downline type of pyramid shaped structure. So a lot of times people end up losing a lot of money. And what I really want to talk to Jessica about here is the fact that a lot of MLM companies are involved in the makeup and the skincare realms, and I know a lot of them are involved in like weight loss and fitness and supplements and those kind of things. And I've heard from like personal trainers and physical therapists that they get so annoyed that it's like, no, this is a field you have to be licensed in, and then they're
Yes.
saying like, I'm a
Yes.
Beachbody coach and that kind of thing, when that's like a little bit unethical. So
Yeah.
I guess from your perspective, there's companies, there's like, you know, Mary Kay and there's Unique and there's these makeup companies where there people will say like, oh, I'll give you a free facial, or I'll sell you this makeup, I'll do your makeup for this event, but they don't have any of the proper licensing to
Yeah.
do that kind of thing. So I guess can you tell me a little bit about your experience with those kind of companies and how you felt that that has affected your industry and your career?
Yes. So first of all, we go through a lot of sanitation
Hmm.
training, and we actually take two tests at State Board, and one of them is only about sanitation. So I have seen people double dipping in like a mascara. People can get pink eye from that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you know, um, also if they're not cleaning their lipsticks, herpes simplex, that's incurable.
Oh, God,
People
yeah.
who are doing things, when people tweeze eyebrows, sometimes they bleed. If they use those tweezers on somebody else, they can catch hepatitis or HIV. I mean, it gets deeper than what people think. It's not,
Yeah.
just because, oh, they're not licensed, they shouldn't be doing this. This a safety factor that goes into it. And it's scary. It's really, really scary not be doing my due diligence as a licensed professional to not speak up on that. I personally feel like that.
Yeah.
So, and also there's an individual I won't say the name of, but
Yeah.
State Board is very aware of what she's doing. But what she's doing is she herself is a licensed cosmetologist, but she has a website where she kind of like pimps these girls, not really pimps them out, but she'll get unlicensed individuals who are selling MLM products. She will get them jobs and then take a cut of the money, which is illegal,
Yeah,
completely
that
illegal.
sounds incredibly unethical. Yeah.
It is.
That
It
seems
is.
almost like if you had like a doctor who was like, "Oh, I'll just pay you to go do this surgery for me," or something like
Yeah,
that. That's like that's not okay.
exactly. And
Yeah.
and they're recommending these products because of course they have to sell a certain amount every
Mhm.
month to stay active. So they're recommending products that are, it makes me cringe. And like an example is, I guess I shouldn't say the company. It starts with an R and ends with the second letter word ends with an F.
Yeah, okay, I
Um,
think I was
okay,
gonna so, okay, so
yeah.
there's a skincare MLM company. I was just about to ask you about it because I wanted to know your take on it as a licensed skincare professional. There's
Yes.
a multi-level marketing company out there that sells skincare products and promotes them as like skincare regimens for people and has, unlicensed people selling them and demonstrating
Hmm.
them. So, yeah, can you give
Yes.
me kind of your take on that?
Okay. So, actually it's been about 2 years ago now, I fell and broke my foot. So I was laid up in the bed and I just started researching skincare, who tests on animals, who doesn't. And I
Yeah.
started looking into the ingredients very, very deeply. And it was a rabbit hole. And that is actually what made me become extremely anti-MLM.
Mhm.
So I found ingredients in those products that are linked to hormone disruption, tumor growth, birth defects if someone's pregnant
Oh
and they're using the
God.
products. I
That's
mean,
so scary.
it is very scary. And then I see people post pictures of these young like 12 and 13 years old, and they're giving them these products. And one of the ingredients, the main ingredients, because they were the creators, are proactive, is benzoyl peroxide. Well, that is not for long-term use, and I guarantee you, they are destroying their skin, and they are
Mhm.
going to regret that in years to come. But I mean, these are children, and they are sitting there taking their parents' advice because they trust their parents to know what's right for them, and
Mhm.
most of the parents are selling it too. So of course they're going to use it on their kids. They're using their child's before and after photos, which is, in their mind, they're not doing anything wrong. But you know
Yeah.
what? A little bit of research goes an awful long way. So if people would just research,
Yeah.
they say, oh, it's the number one skincare line, the doctors. I mean, do you really truly think those doctors care
Yeah.
about,
Like,
it's
and a lot
all
of
money.
companies can all claim to be number one if you make the criteria very specific. I
Correct.
know that I mean, especially like I'm in the book industry. There's so many people who like to game the Amazon bestseller lists, and there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that, like to an extent, because it's like, yeah, you want to improve your Amazon ranking, that helps with sales, but you
Mhm.
can claim like I'm a number one bestseller. Okay, well, millions of people are claiming they're number one bestsellers, which I guess they
Yes.
technically are, but they were a bestseller in such a specific category. And
Hmm.
I think that's kind of how a lot of these companies do it. They say like we're the number one brand
Hmm.
of blank because they used very specific criteria on what they were
Hmm.
measuring that on. Like I've heard like I think I've seen with that company saying they're the number one skincare brand, a lot of the graphs and statistics I've seen have been they're they're technically like the number one at how many new employees they've gotten in a certain year or something, which
Yes, exactly. And
like that has nothing
everyone's
to do with
selling
the
this stuff.
quality of the product. Yeah.
Exactly. And I have yet to see a clinical trial that they claim to have. I have yet to see a clinical trial. Not
Yeah.
one. And that's another thing is I sell a skincare line, but it's so like I even feel crazy sometimes, and I shouldn't promoting it. I don't even want to share before and after pictures because I'm so used to seeing these Photoshop before and after pictures of
Mm-hmm.
of other people doing it, and people know me well enough to know I would never do that, but I don't even want to be in the same category as these people, which I'm not because I'm licensed. But
Right.
um, I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely took a huge toll financially on my industry. I don't know why people are listening to Karen down the street, who
Mm-hmm.
is selling crappy overpriced products over a licensed professional.
Yeah.
But I don't
Yeah,
know.
and that's I hate that like the assumption that like in your industry and like I guess me as a small business owner, a lot of events I go to, being a small business owner, a lot of people assume, that a lot of people who say they're an entrepreneur are actually part of an MLM company because
Oh
they've
God,
kind of
yeah.
taken over the concept of entrepreneurship, which is horrible because there's so many
Hmm.
legitimate business owners out there. And that's
Yeah.
kind of how I feel like, if you're, talking about a skincare process and you're a licensed skincare professional, but then there's people who are going to see that and maybe they'll assume that you're just as shady as somebody else who's selling the
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, and that's terrible that it's kind of given that stereotype to your industry when, you're
Hmm.
doing it the ethical way.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, I have loyal clients, and people
Yeah.
who will only take skincare advice from an esthetician. And, and I speak on it. I've lost a lot of Facebook friends, which I really don't care.
Yeah.
But, because, they think that facts are attacks. But,
Hmm.
Mom B on Facebook, she did a meme. It's like, facts are not attacks with SpongeBob and a rainbow. Like, that's like my main meme I'm going to use. So,
That's so cute. I love
yeah.
SpongeBob. um
But yeah,
So
it's
I guess I know
insane.
you mentioned that you had felt in the past like afraid to speak out about your experiences with this because of, I guess, backlash from others in the industry. So I guess
Hmm.
what has made you afraid of talking about it?
I guess because people, it's just like, honestly, it's like talking to a brick wall. I know I did not fail. I know
Uh-huh.
that I'm not a hater. I know that, what they say, every job's a pyramid,
Yeah,
which,
that's not true.
yeah, and I'm so sick of hearing it that I just did not want to explain myself over and
Yeah.
over and over. And in fact, when I did start speaking up about it, um, what really made me mad is because I do sell a skincare line and it's exclusive to only licensed professionals. They're the only ones that can sell it. And this girl that I went to school with since grade school, she's like all into Roden and Fields. I mean, she is like, when I tell you she is in it, like she's everything.
Hmm.
Okay. And she commented, I'm selling the #1 skincare line, and I commented back. I said, that is not the #1 skincare line. I said,
Yeah.
your skincare line is not better than mine, and it's not even yours anyway.
Right.
So yeah, we just got into a whole big Facebook argument. She blocked me, of course, and
Yeah.
as many others, but I just had enough of it, and I just had enough.
Yeah.
So,
That's
and then I started
understandable.
making my own YouTube videos because, and the thing that drew me over with that was, I saw the documentary of Unique, the one that they filmed in the UK.
Mhm.
So, and then somebody was trying to argue with me on a video, somebody else's on, video about it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make a YouTube video just for you. And then that's when it kind of evolved with that. So,
Yeah, I think that's what's really great about living in this time where we have so much like internet access is that like, if you want to make an argument, like we can all just make our own YouTube video and make an argument. I can make this podcast and make an argument. We all can
yeah.
say whatever we want to say. And I think
hmm
that's pretty great. Pretty great way to be able to get your message out there.
Yeah, it is. And I also just recently took to TikTok because I'm trying to, well, I'm just trying to do every social media path that I can take to try to warn others. Then that's what I'm going to do. And I don't want people to feel like I'm attacking them or making fun of them, even though, we
Yeah.
joke sometimes like, okay, Karen,
Yeah.
your business. But I also want to educate, and maybe somebody will see the light. I don't know. Because,
Yeah.
hopefully they will. But I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and hopefully I can make some impacts. I know that I did make an impact definitely on one individual. They messaged me and said, "Thank you so much for speaking out about this specific company. I couldn't pay my light bill last month because I've been buying so much inventory and
Oh,
I'm never going to
wow.
sell it again." And I was like, "Oh, thank God." So I know I helped. I know for a fact, that I have helped her. And I've had a lot. Honestly, I was afraid of people, being pissed off at me, but I've had a lot of people message me. I've had more people message me thanking me for speaking up than more people who, mad and said stuff. So, and I'm surprised at that, but I think it's
Yeah.
great.
Well, that's awesome. I think it's good that
Yes.
people are learning from it because that's what I say a lot is like I never fault someone for getting involved in an MLM company because a lot of the time the company is very manipulative the way they go about it.
Yes.
Like I tell the story of like once I accidentally like went to a job interview for an MLM company without even knowing that that's what it was.
Oh
Like and I
gosh.
saw how easily I could have gotten roped in just from how nice everyone was, just from how much they were
Oh
trying to make
yeah.
everyone feel welcome. So I
Mhm.
understand, and especially people who are struggling to find a job and people who need something, it seems like,
Mhm.
oh, here's a way to make money. I don't
Mhm.
fault anyone for joining. I fault the companies and their structure and the, bad quality products they put out. That's what I
Mhm.
fault for it. So
Yeah.
I think that, yeah, spreading that message with other people and, helping encourage people to get out of these companies is like a really good thing to do for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like, even on my personal page, I am constantly posting things about this, and and then I see yesterday one post after another, somebody saying, a Mary Kay rep, and then somebody else was like, "Hey, do you want to lose 30 pounds?" And
Yeah.
by taking, and I'm like, have y'all been not reading anything that I have posted?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting there shoving it down their throats. I'm posting income disclosure statements. I mean, are you not reading them? Do you not want to research? I mean, I don't know. So maybe if I just keep speaking on it, like they're listening to their uplines,
Yeah.
then maybe something's going to click. But, they do use the same exact tactics as Scientology, and
That's what I've heard, yeah.
they do. And it's so deep, and they use the
Mhm.
bite model. And I've
Mhm.
really researched that part of it because I got to be like really interested in cults and how, how they are cults. I am convinced 100% that they are cults. Like
Yeah, I'm gonna
I am,
be
and not
I'm
even in a
working
joking way.
yeah.
They're cults.
Yeah, I'm
So
working on a couple videos trying to delve into that a little bit more right now, especially because like there's especially some that are so huge at this point, and they have, you know, the huge conventions where people go up on stage and do a, you know, a preacher like sermon to
Oh my gosh,
themselves.
yes.
It's scary to watch. It's like,
It
this
is
isn't a
scary.
religion, this is a corporation. That's scary.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And what was that? I mean, I think The Dream did one episode where they played footage of a preacher, and then they played footage of, I think, I'm not sure if it was Amway or it was
I'm
one of them.
convinced Amway is a cult, like
Oh
definitely.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh,
What they call it, Scamway.
yeah.
But yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
definitely, I need to listen to The Dream. I've heard good things about that
Oh
podcast.
my gosh, you have to listen to it. And also, do you remember, was it Nexum, the one that is that, I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly.
Yeah, that
But
one was like an actual, like, most, like, primarily a cult.
it was
Yeah.
completely. I mean, they were branding people, and not just taking, a hot iron and sticking it to them. They were searing their skin a good 45 minutes. Like,
That's so scary.
it
Oh,
is
oh,
and it was a multi-level marketing company.
oh my
So,
God.
they
Yeah.
just suck them in, and they start, people who don't believe in you, people who don't support you, they're just haters. You need to cut them out of your life, and they just
Yeah.
start believing it. And it's sad. It is.
So,
So
were you ever involved in an MLM company?
I was.
Okay. Which
I was.
one?
Okay, so I got involved with Arbonne. It did not last very long at
Yeah.
all. And
Mhm.
that's the one where I was so mad that other people were, recommending, skinnier products unlicensed. So that did
Yeah.
not last long at all. And then, so the second one I did was New Skin, because I was like, okay, they don't require any money up front, and I can sell some. I never sold one single item, never,
Mhm.
not one single item, not one. And I didn't lose any money, thank God.
That's good. I'm glad you didn't lose anything, but that's pretty
Yeah.
telling that, like, you as a licensed skincare professional still
Yeah.
struggle to sell the products. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's not that lucrative of a business with New Skin, is what I'm gathering. So yeah.
Yeah. And, and I was at a low point in my life,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I'm embarrassed to say it, but you know what? Maybe if people can relate, I didn't lose any money though, thank God. But, and then, so the third and final one, which I did a YouTube video on it, was Primerica. And
Oh, I've
oh
heard
my
scary things
gosh.
about that one. That one, is that one a cult?
Oh my gosh. It is a cult,
Yeah,
because you have to watch my video about it, because I go into depth how it
I
happened. But
definitely will. Yeah.
yeah, so I did pay like $99 for my background check and licensing
Uh-huh.
fee or whatever. So
Yeah.
I messaged the company, and I was like, I want my money back. This is a cult. And I ended up getting like $50 back. So I'm like $49 in the hole, but that's the most I've ever lost with an MLM. Thank God. Because it
Okay,
could have
yeah.
been
So at least,
way
yeah.
worse.
Because I hear people going at like 10, 20, $100,000 in debt. So I'm glad
Yeah.
you never got into that much debt. That's good.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
so
so
scary.
I'm very frugal with my money though, so maybe that helps.
Yeah.
But
That's a good way to
so
be.
yeah, and so that was the final straw for me. And whenever I went to their quote meeting, um I me and my friend, we went, and she looked at me and I looked at her, and we grabbed our purse and we left. That was a straight cult. Like, they had somebody at the front talking about financial freedom, loud music blaring, like everybody was cheering them on. I'm like, what in the hell did I just get us into?
Oh, God.
I was like, we're done. So
Yeah. So you only went to one meeting with them, and it was instantly like, this is a cult. I'm out.
yes, it was like red flags and alarm bells were going off everywhere. I'm like, what the hell?
That's
Yeah.
good. And it's good that you like listen to that instinct, because I know that a lot of times, like, if someone goes into that kind of setting, like, the longer you stay with that group of people, the longer you let yourself be indoctrinated with the
Oh,
beliefs, the
God.
less it seems like a cult. You're like, oh, this is just normal life. So it's good
Yeah,
to get that out
and then
right away. Yeah.
the girl that recruited me was, oh my gosh, she was like nagging me constantly, to the point, like, it was like to the point of harassment. Like, you have to recruit 3 people, you have to hurry up and recruit 3 people, she's like, she even told me to make up a sad sob story and start crying. I'm like,
What?
yes. I was like, dude, leave me alone. I'm done with this cult. Leave me alone. She started
Oh my
calling my
God.
family members and trying to recruit them.
Hey friends, I hope you're enjoying this week's episode so far. Don't forget to check out the links in the description below. As most of you know, my biggest creative and professional venture has been starting the Forever Home Friends, a series of books and stuffed animals based on the stories of real rescue dogs. Each book tells the story of a rescue dog's journey to finding a home and delves into social issues like adoption, prejudice, confidence, body image, disabilities, identity, and more. Our plushies are 12 inches tall, fit in most Build-A-Bear and American Girl doll clothes, and come with customizable adoption certificates for you and your new forever friend. 10% of all profits from Forever Home Friends books and plushes benefit animal shelters. If you're interested in both supporting a small business and helping some dogs in need, please check out foreverhomefriends.com, linked in the description below. Now, back to our episode. Yeah, I've heard about Primerica and Amway, and I think one other being like the big, like the super cult ones that it's like, you don't want,
Yes.
if you mess with those, like it's
And
over.
if you want to find some hun bros, that's where you look. Because, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's because like right now I've been doing a lot of research into Grant Cardone because he's like such a business bro, right? He's like such a guru type, and apparently he's done some MLM speeches at these type of companies. So I'm gonna be making more videos about that soon. But I can't take him in more than small doses because he's just
I
a lot.
understand. That's how like Eric War is. Like I can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. It
Yeah.
makes the skin crawl, and these people worship them. Like, oh my gosh. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that was it, and that was probably four-ish years ago. I could actually go back and look at my emails to see exactly when I
Oh wow.
signed up, but it was and I've not touched one since. So
You know, I feel like most people that I have interviewed in the past couple weeks that have been part of an MLM in the past, almost everyone was involved about 4 or 5 years ago, like 2014, 2015, around then. And I feel like I don't know, it might just be a coincidence that everyone I talked to was involved around the same time, but I feel like the anti-MLM movement had really picked up like 3 years ago or so. So I feel like a lot there's a lot more information getting spread out there about it and a lot more people getting educated. I mean, I found this movement after I went to the one interview and it was so shady, and then I looked up the company on Glassdoor and was like, oh God, this is it wasn't even like a known MLM. It was like a company where they would like try to get you to sell subscriptions door to door, and then recruit people under you and that kind of thing. And the way they frame it in the interview is not like you have to recruit people. It's like, we want someone that we can promote to management within 4 months, and promote to management is like their code word for we want you to recruit people.
yeah,
and that kind of thing. So once I looked into this, I was like, oh my God, I fell down the whole rabbit hole. And then from there, I started seeing people starting to spread information more and more and exposing these companies. So I definitely think people speaking out about it has been having a positive impact, since most people I know nowadays who were in MLMs in the past are not a fan anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe it's because I'm so involved with the anti-MLM movement right now that I'm noticing it, but I definitely, I mean, I see a huge, huge, difference. Like, I think there's so many more people who are speaking up on it now, and that is great because, we need any and everybody to. And of course, they're going to end up losing money anyway. So once they lose it, they're not going to be very happy about it. So sadly, sometimes that's what it takes. But
I see that especially with LuLaRoe, people who join, because that one, they try to get you to like open a boutique almost, which in theory is fine. Like that's a great idea to, open a clothing store, but the amount of money that people go into debt with that business is ridiculous. Like that's where I see people losing like, $50,000, $100,000. It's scary.
Yes, it's very scary. Like if you want to open up a boutique, just get a wholesale account with some good
Yeah,
quality,
exactly. Yeah, you gotta,
businesses that,
yeah.
but I don't know why they go that route. I can't believe they're even still going that route,
I
honestly.
think because I think, a lot of people, most people don't have a business education. That's such a very specialized route. Like
Hmm.
I own a business and I don't have a formal business education, and
Yeah.
there's so much to learn and there's so many complicated things
Hmm.
that I can definitely see how someone presenting this idea of like, oh, this is all set up for you. We'll do all the training. You just got to do this. Like, I can see how that could be appealing when you don't
Yeah.
realize how much like ridiculous levels of things you need to learn in business. So I
Yeah.
see how people get roped into it,
Hmm.
definitely. It's so scammy that the people up top try to do that, though.
Yeah, it is. It's a mess. And like the MLM police has said before, even the FTC warns people, do not join these companies. I mean, it's on their website, a government
Hmm.
website, and yet people, I don't know, they're just not reading it. I don't know. but
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, it's pretty scary. And I guess just people just don't research. And nowadays, you have to research everything, because you can't just believe a rep that this skincare is good for you or this makeup is okay, and then
Yeah.
then when you start looking, just and like the unique the 3D fiber mascara, which was actually ground up nylon, that had
Oh.
the class action lawsuit against them.
Oh my God, that's
um
disgusting.
yeah, I mean, the reps were told it was green tea fibers. They told everybody else it was green tea fibers. Even the company said it was green tea fibers. So, that's another reason not to trust, even if you research the ingredients and it looks okay. Don't trust these people, don't trust these people. You just
Yeah,
can't trust
that's
them.
in a kind of thing where it's like, because like skincare and like makeup, like you're putting substances onto your face.
Yeah.
Like that's
Which is our
inherently like
largest organ.
you want the thing to be safe that you're using. So I feel like
Yes.
a professional, a licensed professional is where you should put your trust primarily. That's how I
Yeah.
see it, at least. Like it's like buying food, right? You wouldn't want to go to a restaurant that didn't pass health inspection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't
Um,
even know what's in it, but I don't know. So, and I don't know why people are still doing it. I don't
so
know, but
what advice would you give to someone, like if someone was involved in an MLM and they wanted to get out, I guess what advice would you give to them?
okay. So, what advice would I give to them? That would be that you are not a failure at the company, because statistically 99.7% of people lose money or make nothing at all, and it's not because you did not work hard enough. You are
Mm-hmm.
the victim in this. And if you need support, we have a whole community that is willing to help you and be there for you and talk to you, and just leave it behind and go, because if you need support, I'll personally be here for them. I'm sure you
Mm-hmm.
will, and we all
Yeah.
will, and we're going to give them the support that they need.
That's one thing I love about the anti-MLM community is people sometimes look at it from the outside and are like, "Wow, you guys, you make so many jokes, you make fun of people a lot." It's like, "Yeah, but when people want to leave one of these companies, we are
Hmm.
so supportive of trying to help people get out of this situation and being
Exactly.
welcoming and providing resources and trying to
Hmm.
help people do something legitimate." So, I feel
Yeah.
like it's nobody ever is going to judge you for being involved in something like that in your past. Instead, we'll be like, hey, congrats on, getting out of that and not being a part
Yeah.
of that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure, and I want to add to that is I'm sure people are embarrassed, or they feel bad about saying, to all of these friends and family that they've, asked to buy this product, try to recruit them, and then it's hard, and I can only imagine how hard it is for them to say, you know what, I was wrong. I'm sorry I tried to sell you this. I'm sorry I tried to recruit you to this. It's a lot to say that you were wrong.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of strength to do that. But, people have done it, and I know that they can do it. And, they can be free of this.
Yeah.
just taking that step.
And then I guess on the other side, what advice would you give to someone who wants to get involved in like legitimate makeup artistry and get into that industry? How would you what would you say to them?
I would say that maybe, like see if see if it's for you. Go, try to, well, I don't know if they have anybody they can go on set with, but, just go, watch people do it, practice. If you're good at it, then, I suggest going to school for it, looking into schools. And, if people don't have the money for it, they have financial aid, just like college, that would help pay for them to go to school for it. And, just look up aesthetic schools in their area. So, or, cosmetology schools, because that cosmetologists can also do skincare and makeup. So it's just longer.
So then I guess when you first got into doing makeup professionally for productions, you start in college, you met a guy who was starting up his own production company and
Mm-hmm.
with him. And then like from there, like have you found most of your gigs through like networking through like knowing
Yeah.
a person who knows a person, or like are there places
Yeah.
online that people can look? What kind of thing would you recommend for that?
It is a lot of who you know and putting yourself out there and networking. And I did so many things for free just so I could get, like some credit, some experience under my belt.
Yeah.
And it's a lot about networking and things like that. And I will add that some states don't require you to have a license in order to do makeup on set, because
Mhm.
production's over that. But you are more likely to get the job if you have a license. So I would start out with just find somebody locally that has a camera that wants to produce something and do something small, and tell them, hey, I did the makeup for this production or commercial, anything like that. They can go online, and there's local film groups that they have. I'm sure it's all over, because I'm in a number of them. They can go into local film groups on Facebook and see if anybody needs a makeup artist.
So you're in what state are you in?
I'm in Mississippi.
You're in
Yeah.
Mississippi. Okay. So, and in Mississippi, is there like, because normally when you think of movies, you're like, oh, movies get filmed in California, but there are movies getting
Yeah.
made in Mississippi.
There are, but the thing is I'm 50 miles from New Orleans, so we
Oh,
have,
cool.
yeah, there's tons of productions happening in New Orleans, and there's tons more coming. So, and whenever I couldn't stand on my feet doing makeup for a while after I broke my foot, I did a lot of background acting just so I can stay within, the film,
Yeah. So
industry
you
while I
keep
was
meeting
recuperating.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did do that, but we have lots of stuff going on in New Orleans. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so I mean, it's not like I'm not sure, there's got to be, they have to be filming something somewhere. I don't know.
I get there are, yeah. I feel like a lot of places, especially like, if you live near any college, there's going to be like colleges, like students making student films.
Student films, yeah,
I love
yeah,
student films. I mean, I made so many of them back when I was in college, so
yeah, and I've done makeup for student films for them. So
that's awesome. So I guess that's
yeah,
always a good place people can start
that
too,
is, yeah,
student films and that kind of thing.
yeah, any college that has a film department, you know, call them and see if they need a makeup artist. And there you go. You have, some footage with makeup that you've done, and that's something to show people, and just kind of go from there, whenever, trying to think, because there's always, I mean, I don't know, like I'm trying to think of what areas, but if you look on IMDb and you look at different shows, you can see where they're filming at.
Yeah.
So you can look, I mean, it gets you down to the address, on most of them where they're filming at. So if anybody's close to any of that, you know, they can just, search for that. There's a site called Staff Me Up, which is a good one, and they list, makeup artists that are needed in different areas. So that's also a good place to start. But that's what I would,
Have
recommend.
you done makeup for any like for photography or for weddings or for any of those kind of things?
I have, and I do take weddings by referral.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, by referral. I don't really promote them so much because
Yeah.
sadly, that is another thing that's happening is illegally a lot of people around here are doing makeup for weddings without having a license. So
Yeah.
that has really went into another thing that's, kind of messed with my industry. So, but photographers, yeah, I mean, I guess people could offer to do makeup for anybody. There's photographers all over,
Yeah.
people who shoot maternity shoots. They could do makeup for, the people in
Yeah.
family portraits or people who are getting maternity photos or all kinds of things. So,
That's really cool.
yeah. So there's opportunity out there. You just have to go find it. You have to hustle it and, try to make a way.
So I'm a person who knows nothing about makeup. Like I tried to do a makeup video on my channel as I'm trying to learn it because like I've worn makeup a couple times in my life, like to do a costume,
Oh,
and
wow.
that's it. Like I have like zero experience with it, so it's pretty. I think it's pretty funny. It was me trying to figure out like the difference between like concealer and like eyeshadow. Like I had no idea like I'm sure to you that sounds ridiculous, but
Yeah,
I was like looking at this like
but that's
palette that
okay.
I got in the mail, and I was
Uh-huh.
like, I don't know what this is. So these questions I ask might sound like they make no sense, but like from your perspective, if
No,
you're
it's
doing
fine.
makeup for like a wedding versus like a movie shoot, like is there like a difference in the way you approach it? How does that kind of work?
Yeah, because things look different on film, like filming, and
Yeah.
there's, you can Photoshop photos, people use Photoshop for that, but filming, it's a, while somebody's moving around, you can't really like Photoshop their face, you know what I mean? Um, so yeah, I would the things is like, with a bride, you want to use waterproof makeup, of course, in case they cry.
Oh, okay, that
Um,
makes sense.
yeah. Um, Also a lot of like airbrush makeup, with the airbrush machine because it lasts longer. Um, and they have like a more natural finish.
Okay,
But
cool,
yeah, so just little things like that.
cool, cool.
Yeah, I stay away from like shimmery eyeshadows and things like that on film on camera just because of that glare, depending on what they're using to film with. And like I said, the SPF, you know, stay away from that. And it just depends on the scene. Like, what do they, the character?
Yeah.
They may need tattoos covered up. They may want tattoos. They, um, it just depends. They may want a scar if they can't find somebody to cast with a scar on their forehead, for instance. They
Yeah.
can put a scar on their forehead. It's different. It's different. And I do love everything about the film industry. Of course, there's so much money in weddings,
Yeah.
which is great. But and I
I
do
was
take them by
shocked.
referral. But
So I got married 2 years ago, and I was shocked at how much money is in the wedding industry.
oh
Like,
my gosh, I
I
know.
was, well, because I was going into this being so cheap. My husband and I have this story about when we went engagement ring shopping. We went to Macy's, and we
Uh-huh.
told the lady, we were like, "Oh, we're shopping for an engagement ring," and the lady's eyes lit up like with commission dollar signs.
Oh, you
And
know it.
she was just like, and then we were like, our absolute maximum budget is $300. And she was just like, her
Huh?
face fell. She's like, oh my God, here's the clearance bin. So we ended up buying one on Etsy because, it was cool to get one from like an independent artist and
Right.
to get one much cheaper than like at a jewelry store. But that's when it was hitting me like everything is so
It
marked up
is.
because people are willing to spend the money. So, I mean, my
Yeah.
wedding was incredibly like I was so cheap on everything.
Yeah. And
I didn't
I didn't
hire
want
like anything. I didn't hire like a photographer. I didn't hire anything.
well, my mom wanted me I was fine with just like going on vacation and doing like a wedding and a honeymoon like all in one
Yeah.
but my mom, she is, she was president of the garden club at the time, and she was like all into hobby economics, and she used to, like, she's very, she's a flower show judge for our local.
Oh, that's so cool. I
So,
love that.
she was not like having that,
Yeah,
so
my mom
she
was
was
an
like,
event planner for a long time,
I
so
was like,
she actually did most of the planning, like
yes.
finding a location, finding food, all
Yes.
of that for it.
My mom and my sister did everything because they also deal antiques and have a couple of antique shops. So, like my cake table and all of that was, antiques that, they painted, and they used antique brooches for my bouquet because I didn't really want a traditional wedding. So I was like, I guess I can't
Yeah.
carry flowers. I'll carry antique brooches instead. Because I
Oh,
was like,
that's cool. I love
yeah,
that.
it's so heavy. I couldn't throw it. I would knock someone out. but yeah, I mean, it is very expensive. It is very expensive. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's some really good money in it. And, but like I said, if somebody wants a good licensed professional, a licensed esthetician who knows skincare, who will prep your skin properly, who will be completely sanitary with you, then I will do your wedding. If you want someone who's less expensive, who is using an MLM product or just charging less because they're illegally doing it, that's the risk that you have to take. But
Yeah. Yeah.
you know
That's the thing. It's always you get what you pay for if you
yeah,
go cheap on something. Like that's the thing I always say with like tattoos, right? I see so many places having like it's $10 tattoo night, and I'm like, I
oh
would never get
gosh.
a tattoo for $10. That's how you get an
$10.
infection. Like my tattoos
Yeah,
are expensive, but none of them have ever gotten infected, and that was worth it to me.
well, thank God. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But and
So
another thing is, and if anybody hears this from where I live locally, I mean, I'm just gonna be completely honest. A lot of these, they have like a women's magazine where I live, and they have makeup artists in there that go to their events, which like their how they do bridal shows and stuff. Well,
yeah.
they're allowing unlicensed individuals to go in there and promote themselves to get hired to do people's makeup for weddings. They're using unlicensed professionals in their magazines. They're using them to let them put ads in their magazines. So, and if our state board will not do anything about it, which we, are losing loss of wages, our licensing fees, like, if
Yeah.
they're not going to do anything about it, then I'm kind of at a loss right now for that. But,
Yeah, that's really frustrating. I'm
yeah,
sorry you have
so
to deal with that.
yeah, I just want everyone to please, 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 please research who you
Yeah.
use for anything. You
That's
know,
that's good. That's good advice.
even if they have to call their local state board and say, "Hey, so and so licensed," just find out, because it's not worth the risk of catching, herpes simplex. I mean, that's incurable.
Right.
You
No,
do
that's
have to
something
think
that
about
scares
things
me
like
so
that.
bad.
Yeah, it is very scary.
Is there anything else that you want to share, during our interview about either, skincare or makeup artistry or going into this business or anything like that?
Yeah, I do want to add, also going into this business, be prepared to maybe possibly not make money unless your local state board is willing to crack down on the things that they are supposed to be doing. Um, because it's very saturated with, multi-level marketing reps
Yeah.
and all of that. And yeah, that's about it.
It's kind
that I
of
can
sad
think of.
because so far every interview I've done for this podcast, because every interview I'm doing is related to people taking a creative passion and turning it into a profession. So
hmm
far everyone I've talked to has said at the beginning be prepared not to make money, which like I guess that's just a thing across the board in creative professions. Everyone starts out making nothing, and like
Yeah.
that's so sad. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know what there is to be done about that right now. Maybe I just got to interview more people and see. But I mean, I
Yeah.
know I personally don't make very much money. I do, everything I do for money, but I don't make
hmm
very much.
Yeah, and I'm
Because
having to take
it's just
temporary jobs here and there, to
yeah,
make up
yeah.
for these loss of wages. And I've been doing it, and I have loyal clients, and I've been doing it, like I said, for 15 years. Whenever I was like 13 years old. I went on a trip to New Mexico with my dad. And like the whole time in the car, I was like doing my makeup, wiping it off and redoing it and trying different techniques. And I was
Mhm.
like, you know what? And that's when I decided, I wanted to be a makeup artist. But also, I've always been very outspoken and talkative and, all of that. So I, I chose, I was either going to go to school for broadcasting or do this. And, sadly, sometimes it makes me, I am doing what I love, but my industry's been so negatively affected that sometimes I wonder, here I am 30 something years old, and I wonder, did I make the right decision? you know?
Yeah.
So, um,
And that's always so hard to determine, right? Knowing that
yeah,
like, and I think I guess this goes to show that like there's a lot of people working in creative fields that they're very passionate about who aren't, making a ton of money, but
mhm,
are still, have still made a career out of the thing that they love. And I think that
yeah,
that's the most important thing in the end.
it
So,
is.
I mean, it really just comes down to, I guess, like, do you wake up happy to do your job every day? And I don't know, that's kind of how I
Yeah,
see it, I guess. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And like, it's not an hourly job, because if I don't work, I don't get paid.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Oh, I know
So
that life all
it's
too
that
well. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, because I mean you own a business, so you know,
Yeah. Hmm.
but
Every once in a while, it's like, man, I'm so jealous of my friends who have like paid time off and can
oh
take
my
a
gosh,
sick
I know.
day and things like that, but it doesn't work here.
And another thing, they want to say tell people to work at home, but when I was after I broke my foot as well, I took a job with was that before or after? That was after. I took a job with Amazon working from home, and I was, they shipped me my laptop and everything, and I was making decent money working from home. So, I mean, there is jobs out there that you can work from home and make an hourly wage,
Yeah, that's such a
with
good point.
benefits.
Yeah, that's a thing
So,
that I tell people, like, especially like people who, when people who get involved in MLM companies tend to do it, like, because they're sold this idea that, like, you can stay home, especially, like, if you're a single parent, if you need to be
mhm.
with your kid, if that kind of thing. But it's like there are other jobs you can work
There
from
are.
that are
Yeah.
going to pay you ethically. And I think like doing Amazon customer service or that kind of thing, that's a thing that people can do. And I think it's awesome
Yeah.
that you have that example. It's important for people to know about those resources so that
Mhm.
they are aware that this other option is out there for them.
Yeah, and if people want to get out of an MLM, I'll be more than happy to send them over a link so it's if they're hiring or apply for a job so they can work from home. I'm willing to help in any way that I can. So
Thank you so much for being on this podcast today. It was really great
thank
to get to talk with you.
you for having me. I do appreciate it.
Absolutely. It was wonderful to hear about all your experiences, and I wish you the best in all future endeavors. Let me
You
know
as
if
well.
there's ever anywhere we can watch any of the, or I guess like if the Amazon show or the Netflix show that you're doing makeup for, let me know if that goes through because I want to watch. I want to see it. That'd be so exciting.
All right, great. I will.
All right. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, and you have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Creative in Chicago. If you enjoy this podcast, please don't forget to subscribe. New episodes release every Saturday, and during the week, I put out new videos on my YouTube channel, Savvy Writes Books, all about books, writing, and small business owner life. We'll catch up again next week, but in the meantime, don't forget to support small businesses. Happy creating!